that's a very broad term because not all churches are equal.
Nowadays.
Especially nowadays, you could almost sink deeper into a darker place.
And do you realize that things never going to get better? Well, the women can get better without the men. You don't need a man to get better. Do you understand that? You need to forgive your mothers and your fathers, return to the Father, and He will do the same for you and you that He's doing for those men who are working on themselves. So I don't want you to think for 1 second you need a man for that. You only need a man if you're going to get married, have some babies, and you got to stay home with the kid. Other than that, you don't need a man.
I mean, probably everybody should stay away from anybody until they've worked on themselves.
Evidently.
For that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that was such a profound thing for somebody to say just out of the blue. Like everybody should stay away from everybody. Just stay away from each other until they begin working on themselves. And man, that's so true. But it's like, respectfully disagree in a way, because it's like, Jesse likes to call it the fallen state, like we're all in a fallen state, spiritually. And if it wasn't for that fallen state, which would be Adam's fall, right? Adam and Eve's fall from grace, or whatever cheesy shit you want to consider it. If it wasn't for that fallen state, we wouldn't be having children, essentially. Because it's almost like it really seems like it's something that's almost necessary, is this fallen state. But I do get the message where it's like, wow, yeah, like if everybody just worked on themselves and we just stay away from each other until we kind of examine ourselves first, you know. Not only you know, romantic relationships, but just any interpersonal, you know, social relationships. It's like nobody wants to take a step back, right, and see their own actions. And I've witnessed this with recently, actually. I'm not gonna name names, but kind of like the comments back and forth between individuals. Like I said, I'm not naming names, but where they're just completely blind to how they're acting. For instance, just to kind of give the example where it's like, I make a comment and somebody replies to me, completely unrelated, like, topic about some kind of drama, alright? And it's like, and I basically tell them, look, this is between you and this other person. Thanks for the heads up. I can handle myself when it comes to this other person. Like, you don't have to worry about me, essentially. And kind of pushing the issue until it's like they have like a breaking point in a way where they attempt to, like, complete narcissistic behavior, by the way. Completely to the point where it's like almost a like choose them over me kind of deal. And when I called them out on it, it's like they just had a pseudo meltdown, like a miniature meltdown in the comments section. Basically calling me an idiot for even replying. Like, how dare you even reply? You didn't even have to reply. Like the comment I left wasn't meant to be replied to, or something like that. Like, he can control my actions or something. And it blew me away, and I was like, is this dude for real? Like, is this guy like trying to like literally control my online behavior? It's like so funny. And I basically told this dude, it's like, look, you're over here criticizing this other guy when you're acting just as badly, just to give the short version of what I told him. And I think he just banned me after that. Like I said, I'm not gonna name names, I'm not gonna name videos. It's not important. I'm just giving you an example. If people were a little more self-aware of their own behaviors, we'd be getting along a lot better. But that just doesn't seem to be the case with anybody, whether it be online or in person. And it's really easy to kind of say where it's like, hey, like, you're online and you can kind of just talk shit to whoever you want. It's like, no, like, people do that in real life anyway. Your own family does that shit to you. What difference does it make? You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of blows my mind that, I don't know, like, people just, like, I don't know, sometimes I just wonder if people just really need to get punched in the face or something, because they don't understand anything else. I'm not a violent person, but it's like they just don't understand anything else until they get smacked in the face. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I would do that, but it's like, I just wonder sometimes, is like violence the only answer for some of these people? Like, that's the only thing they'll respond to, is just physical violence, because they just can't let go, psychologically. Like, they just have to have the last word at all times. I don't know, man, it's weird.
Yeah, other than that, you don't need a man.
I mean, probably everybody should stay away from anybody until they've worked on themselves.
That's going to do and to get better. Do you understand that?
Uh,
You need to forgive your mothers and your fathers, return to the Father, and He will do the same for you and you that He's doing for those men who are working on themselves. So I don't want you to say for 1 second you need a man for that.
I'm replaying this for a reason, just to kind of get into this. The females, the ladies in my audience, like, I don't know, I've said this before, basically what Jesse's saying, and I didn't learn this from him, okay? I think that the video titled, Ladies, There's Hope in the Women, or something like that. I forget the name. I'll put a little thumbnail right here just to show it, where I essentially go on and talk about how it seems to be like the women are waking up, the ladies are waking up, and the men are kind of like lagging behind, because it seems like the men nowadays are acting more and more like women do, in a sense where it's like they want to gossip and they're lazy and they don't want to do their jobs, or, you know, they like to, the gossiping thing is the big one, where it's like they want to talk about others all the time and they just never want to examine themselves. I'm just noticing that it's the ladies that are kind of self-reflecting a little more, whether it be the women in my comment section or in real life. Like, to give the example of Karina, like, completely had to break down her psyche, like, just tear down her ego in order to find the truth, right? It's just like, and I don't see men doing that for the most part, but I'm sure there's plenty of exceptions, right? But, like, ladies, the ladies are going to be leaders, and the ladies, women aren't cut out to be leaders. They're designed to be followers. But the men aren't leading either, so it's like, it's just like everybody's lost, right? The women are lost, the men are lost. It's just a fucking shame. And Jesse says it here, it's like, you don't need, especially if you're a single woman. I've talked about it before, where, you know how it's man over woman, woman over the children, etc. Well, so the wife gets her light through her husband, and the husband receives that light through God. And other than that, let's say you're a single woman. You were supposed to receive that light from your father, and your father was supposed to receive that light from God. Okay, so we're in this situation where not even the fathers, not even the family, even when the families are intact, or when the mother and father are together and the family's whole, there's still a separation, because the men are still acting like women, and the men aren't receiving the light from God. So we have a situation where it's like the ladies have a very unique opportunity to receive their light from God, and not have an ego about it at the same time. Not to be like, oh, I received my light from God, and just kind of just bragging about it. It's like, no, you gotta still have patience and forgiveness for the weakness in your husband or the weakness in your boyfriend or whatever. You know, just like kind of, I don't know if coaxing is the right word, but if you notice your man is not leading, let's say for instance you're out and about, going to the grocery store, and he's tagging along, kind of like a beta male orbiter, yeah, that's pathetic, dude. Like, don't let your man do that. You don't need to. I'm not trying to tell you how to live, but it's like, it's so, I don't know, talk to him about these things where it's like, you say you would like for him to be in front of you every now and then, or something like that, or say that you want him to lead you, especially when, like, let's say you're at the grocery store. I'm not saying like he needs to make the grocery list or whatever, but at least when walking in the store, right, to walk in front of you, or to at least walk side by side, right? Not just being drug along like a little child, like a little lost boy, because that's super pathetic, and I see it so often. It's sad, really. Alright, let's go over something else. Hake, James Hake, who's part of the JLP network. Cool guy, Big Bump. He's also part of the JLP network. Pretty entertaining dudes. Let's go over this.
Like, I mean, I haven't seen, you know, like a proper family, like a proper love, and it, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just, maybe because I live in, like, the Northeast or whatever, and it's just, you know, the city area or whatever. But it's, like, you don't see the order anymore. It's like the order's gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or does that make any sense? Or like for example, I'll see husbands with their wives, but it'll be the husband, you know, pushing the kid in a stroller, you know, it'll be whatever, and he's talking to the wife, yeah, and you know, it's, and I ran, I'll tell you, I ran 60 miles in a week. So that, you know, cumulative. So one day I did like 20 miles. The other days I did 5. And I don't want to judge people because I understand, but there was not a single man I saw, you know, if they had a baby, if they had a kid or whatever, you know, they weren't carrying the kid. They were pushing him in a stroller. The wife was, or it was a single mother. You know, single mother with the kid.
Right.
And I saw maybe like 400 people, like literally like so many, you know, because it's a city. You see people on the street, you see the family.
Yeah.
But I did not see a single man correcting, you know, his wife. Or, you know what I'm saying? Because there's I don't know, like, Jesse will say, like, you know, like, that's beta, like, pushing the kid in the stroller or whatever.
And it is.
And it is. No man wants to do that. Every man wants to carry his kid. Every man wants to, yeah. And it's just, it's clearly, and you can look at the guys, when you see them pushing the stroller, it's sad, but you see, like, a part, it's like a piece is missing. It's like... You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a piece is literally missing. It's just like an incomplete picture in a sense. I mean, obviously that's better than you know, the single mother stuff going on right now, but it's
all right, I think that's good enough. To kind of interject on that last part. Actually, I'll cover that in a minute, but this guy has his eyes open, right? And he can't help but pass judgment now. Kirk has talked about this as well, so it's not just me that's seeing these things, or Kirk that's seeing these things, or Jesse's that's seeing these things. A lot of guys are, especially in the Jesse Peterson network, kind of see these things, and it's like really, really saddening, right? To see grown men act like women, or basically act like followers when the potential to lead is there. Like I just said. So this kind of this ties back to what I was just talking about on Jesse's church service. And to touch on the end there where he talks about it's better, like, to see that weakness, right? To see the weak father pushing a kid along in a stroller. And not leading his woman is somehow better than seeing the single mother, and I kind of have to disagree in a way, because, and I truly mean this when I say this, is that it's gonna seem fucked up, but seeing my father die the way he did when I was 5 years old was like a mercy. to me, because I never got to see him that kind of cucked, beta male simp weakness in him. I never got to see him in that state. The last time I saw him was him dying, right? And it's almost like I said, y'all aren't gonna understand this, but it's almost like that was a mercy to me to see that instead of seeing a lifetime of weakness. Or I'd rather have him dead in a way, and to just pass away, right? Because he's a spirit in a body. I'd rather just have him pass along than see him in this kind of pathetic male. See him as this pathetic male, or, just to kind of touch on that, because that last part is what really got to me, where it's like, with this guy, the caller, thinks that the single motherhood thing is somehow worse, and I don't know, man, that's debatable. Just talking about my situation and how I feel about it, and a lot of y'all are gonna think I'm fucked up for saying something like that, but I don't know if a child's better off without their father, because I've never experienced having a father, so it's like, my favorite reference is single mom on welfare, And, to get back on, to kind of have a little callback to, what got me to wake up, or what got me to, there's a flattering shot. I'm gonna let it kind of play while I speak, I'll mute it. So what got me into this reality-seeking thing, spirituality thing, what got me on that path was actually studying the welfare system. I discovered guys like Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell, and watched a lot of their videos about economics, started getting a better idea of what socialism really is and how crooked and twisted it is, in the welfare state and government influence, and too much, overreaching of government influence, which is more topical than it's really topical right now, is this subject of government overreach. Maybe I'll talk about that in a minute, but so I studied guys like Thomas Sowell. I'll put a picture up of, and that's actually pretty relevant as a eugenics thing. He spoke about eugenics and the welfare state and all that, and really put it in perspective of what liberals are, in context of, Republicans versus Democrats, conservatives versus liberals, etc. What it means to be a libertarian, and what it means to be a liberal, and what this wave of neoliberalism in the past maybe decade has been about. So, and Matt has said this in his videos too, where it's like the path to kind of metaphysical truth seems to be conservatism. Where it's like you become a conservative just from noticing the nonsense or noticing the shenanigans, the government shenanigans, and it's like you notice these things. Like for me, for instance, I wanted to know about welfare. I wanted to know what my mother's problem was with wanting to be on welfare. Like, it's not like the idea of just receiving free money from the government never sat right with me. So I wanted to know why. I'm not going to get into that. Maybe I will one day, but that's not what this video is going to be about. This is more along the lines of what led me to truth, quote unquote, what led me to the spiritual journey, what led me to my awakening, what led me to forgiveness. So it started off with guys like Thomas Sowell and Milton Friedman. And from there, YouTube started recommending a guy named Larry Elder. Okay? So I started listening to Larry Elder. Seemed like a really cool guy. Like, I like that guy a lot still. I have nothing against him. But I kind of just strayed away from the politics, so I don't, like for instance, I don't really watch Jesse's show anymore because he talks about politics way too much. I just tune into his church service. But watching Larry Elder led me to, I'm trying to get the time frame here. I want to say I found Jordan Peterson first. And then I discovered Larry Elder. And then I discovered Jesse Peterson through Larry Elder, because I think he did an interview with him. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? So started watching Jesse. I took his message of forgiveness to heart after like 4 years of listening to Jesse. I'd reunited with my father thanks to Jordan Peterson. Not thanks to, but you know, Jordan Peterson kind of tickled my brain when it came to reframing Christianity. I became a Christian again after being an atheist for 30 years. And Jesse kind of pushed me into forgiving the mother thing, and that's what I had my second spiritual awakening once I forgave my mother and realized that there's no free will. I never had free will, and I was being controlled by spirits that I don't even know what spirits I was being controlled by, because my mother is being controlled by spirits. I was being controlled by her spirits, and ain't no telling where my mother got hers. Probably from her mother, because that's the way it always goes, or it seems to go. When the mother or the grandmother passes along her anxiety, passes on her neuroses, and all that good stuff. So I realized that I got all that from my mother, and I realized I had to forgive her, and that's what I did. But that's how I got led to this metaphysical truth. This metaphysical seeking, you know? We have a very firm belief now that each and every one of us lives out the mythology. We're living out a mythology. Your life is already written in a way, like all of your experiences are in the Bible already. For instance, if you just read the Bible, you'll find stories that you can relate to almost immediately, because this is the ongoing human mythology. It's a story as old as time. For instance, Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel are the two biggest ones, where it's like everybody here should be able to relate to Cain and Abel, because you know what it's like to be Cain, because every single one of you is Cain. There's no exceptions. Everybody has anger passed down from Cain through the mothers, because Cain got it from his mother. Because Eve was the one who decided to follow the snake instead of following her husband. And Adam was a simp too, you know? Adam was a weak male. You know, he would be the type to push the baby along in the stroller. That's Adam. He would be the one to go to the grocery store with Eve, and he would just follow her around like a lost little boy. And that's Adam. That's the father of humanity, you know? But you got stories like Noah. I'm just kind of rambling here, guys. You got stories like Noah in the Ark, where it's like there's always a chance, because you're always going to have a generation that's perfect, and Noah was perfect in his time, and his generation was as perfect as it got before it went back to hell, until, you know, this guy named Jesus came along and got put on a cross for being perfect. You know, Jesus got put on a cross for speaking his mind, right? Trying to get people to wake up. And to me, that's kind of the message that the creeps want out there. It's like, don't you dare try to get people to wake up. Because the moment you do, you're going to be crucified. And you either, I don't know, you either accept that or run away. You give in to the king's horses and the king's men, right? Like the Roman soldiers, they were the king's horses and the king's men, like Matt McKinley likes to put it.
Every era has a truth regime, a set of normative or to reject the man. Man.
Like the rest of life in suburbia, shopping has a family flavor.
Do you remember what size she was? 5. Then we bought a tree to go with it.
Yes, that's pretty nice.
Well, shall I take it?
These busy families make the shopping centers look young and colorful. They have a let's go see quality that brings crowds to community events and promotions. For the children, whom the young adults have always at hand, there's plenty to do and see. While his family shops, a boy can catch a fish, ride the rides, go to the circus, visit the center zoo, and have his hair cut. And if that doesn't tire him out, his mother can put him in the center's nursery school, where he can get paint on his shirt, see his friends, and wear himself out on the bars.
All right. The part I wanted to speak about where it's like, and these little kids, these are boomers, young boomers, and these are the silent gen parents. They might be World War vet parents, but they learned it from them, where it's like, there's this idea that the boomers got, and how they raised us, millennials, and maybe some zoomers in there, but where you know, what the boomers did to us was like put us in front of a TV and just have us watch endless TV shows, endless commercials, consumerism, etc. They got it from them, where it's like, oh, let's take little Jimmy to the park and wear him out, and that way when we get home he'll just go to sleep. It's like basically finding any excuse to not spend time with your children, but at the same time these parks and these basically essential, in essence, these are basically like, it's called Noah's Ark. That's amazing. Jesus Christ. See, like Noah's Ark, a safe place to leave your child while you shop. Like, go shopping, right? Like, go consume while you just leave your child here, and we'll take care of your child for you. They were brought up, the boomers were brought up with this idea that as soon as you have a child, as soon as you spit it out of the vagina, you just set it down somewhere and have someone else take care of it while you go fuck about. Like, that was my mother to a T, okay? And I guarantee you, a lot of my listeners right now, your parents did the same shit to you, and it's not right. That is not the way you interact with your children. And it's just like eye-opening to see things like this, where it's like just consumerism, right? Consume, consume, consume. It's just the same shit being repeated over and over again, like, and the way it's marketed to stupid parents, like these silent gen parents are just a bunch of dopes, right? A bunch of peanut butter brain idiots who, I don't know where they got this from, or they're just that fucking gullible where they got sold this idea of you just pawn off your children and look, you just bring them home and they'll go right to sleep, right? It's like a miracle cure. Like, you don't have to worry about them crying or actually wanting to interact with you or talk with you. And children crave their parents' attention, okay? Like, it's in all young children to crave the attention of the adults in their life, but especially the parents and especially the father. And that's what's so heartbreaking about the way children are being brought up today, where it's like parents won't even, like millennial parents, like the millennials are the ones raising the Zoomers and the Alphas right now. And they can't even talk to their own children because they were so fucked up by their boomer parents, and their boomer parents were fucked up by the silent gen parents. And this right here, man, this is like living...
Case and you're going to be pandered to. So one sees also
So just like
the narcissism and the entitlement of the boomer vary. Tastes a 21-year-old or the 18-year-old or the 16-year-old or the 12-year-old even are important. That your opinion matters, that your tastes and your preferences are going to be pandered to. So one sees also where the narcissism and the entitlement of the boomer very likely came from. The very source of their dissatisfaction in their souls, the plastic conformity of consumerism, which they railed against, was also the origin of their selfishness.
Yep.
But unlike the cynical...
That's what's amazing about the boomer gen is like they claim they're like rebels, right? And then they were so anti-consumerism and they were the hippie gen and they were just protesting everything, right? And here they are like fucking 40 years later to just go along with all the bullshit. It's so ridiculous, man. This is a really good documentary too. Well, not documentary, it's more of I think it's like an amalgamation of the videos this guy's done, and he kind of just put it into one video, talking about the boomer gen. And I think it's really important that we have this hyper-focused lens on the boomer generation because we need to have a better understanding of where this fall came from, right? The fall of humanity. And I'm not saying the boomer gen caused it. I'm saying they sure as hell accelerated it with their selfishness.
I'm going to talk about a new angle on the AI trend you've been seeing lately. If you're rushing getting a new iPhone 16, a Google Pixel 9, a Windows Copilot computer...
Alright, so the too long done reversion of this video is basically talks about how our smart devices are being set up to spy on us and to become snitches for the government, okay? Without getting into it, that's what this video is about. So, have this post here where this person makes a claim, right? This is a very, very typical normie way of thinking, where this person says the most vulnerable population to big tech AI is children/youth. They just follow the internet. They just follow internet and social media where largest manipulation is going on. And I have a retort, and I think it got cut off, but and it said, you're wrong, essentially. The most vulnerable right now are the masses of idiot boomers who have zero clue how technology works. My Gen Alpha daughter can recognize AI-created images, while my mother-in-law can't see the difference at all. You're seriously underestimating the younger generation. And like I said, the typical normie point of view is to think that the children are somehow, the young people are somehow going to lead us into this twisted world, right? Even though it's the complete opposite. It's the adults, like the fucking idiots. Like I said here, the adults, the adults, who are leading the way. I don't understand this backwards thinking that some people have, where they somehow think that it's the youngsters leading the degeneracy. Like, does that make any sense to y'all? It's like young people and children look up to the adults around them, and especially their parents. So if there's degeneracy in the family, there's gonna be degeneracy in that youngster's life. They're gonna act it out because I've said it before. The parents or the children are a direct reflection of the adults and their morality and their ideals. So, to re-emphasize, the most vulnerable population to big tech AI isn't the children. It's these stupid boomers. These absolutely clueless boomers. And the scariest part about it is that the young people have a better grasp at how technology works. These boomers have no fucking clue how to use a smartphone, for the most part, right? There's exceptions. But for the most part, they don't understand how their smartphone works. They have no idea how to use it. They never bother to look up a YouTube video on how to use it. Like, they can't even go on YouTube and type in their model number of their phone and look up, you know, whatever Galaxy 5G blah 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 tutorial. They can't even do that. They just use it blindly like a monkey. You ever seen a monkey use a smartphone? That's your boomer grandparent or your boomer parent. watching, you know, just scrolling mindlessly. They don't really know how to use their phones. They don't know what their phone is. They don't realize that their phone is spying on them. They don't realize that their phone is listening to them and sending them advertisements for the stupid shit they want to buy. And this is what they accuse the Gen Zers and the Gen Alphas of, right? Like, you got a boomers watching this video right now and being like, look, that's my grandson. My grandson does this. You know, complete dickhead behavior. See? This is what they accuse youngsters of. This is what they accuse children of. But nope. Oh look, perfect example, huh? Like, yeah, my daughter looks at her phone. Everybody does. But I'm telling you, man, those boomers are the worst. They're the worst. The worst of the worst when it comes to this kind of behavior right here. And I'm gonna... one last thing I want to talk about where it's like...
Gen Xers.
I'm gonna let this play in the background while I talk. I recommend this video. But just to get back into it, this proclivity of old people, of boomers, I'm gonna keep talking about them, man, because there's such a unique species of humanity. There's such a unique generation. Such a brain-dead generation. They had this thing about... And I see this shit all the time when I'm working in the photo lab. They have this kind of download response of bragging about how they don't know how to use their smartphone. These fucking things have been out for almost 20 years by this point, and these idiots still have no clue how to use them. Either that, or they pretend like they don't know how to use them in order for you to help them. And either way, it's fucked up, because they just love to brag about how stupid they are. I hear this so often where it's like, I've had this thing for 5 years and I still don't know how to use it. It's like they think it's cute and they think it's funny to say something like that, but it's so embarrassing. Like, how would you... I don't know, how would they feel if, let's say, they got into an Uber and the Uber driver said, you know, I've been driving this thing for 10 years and I still get the gas pedal and the brake pedal confused. You would probably get out of that car, right? And I know it's not that serious. It's not as serious, right? Because the idiot boomer's just on his phone, not harming anybody, but it's kind of the same thing where it's like, why would you brag about that? Like, why would you brag about how dumb you are? I had one lady one time call herself stupid multiple times. And I can't for the life of me figure out why. Maybe y'all can help me out, but it's like, she just kept saying it, like, how dumb she was that she couldn't figure out how to use her phone, and it's like, my God. And I take it for granted, right, that I'm a millennial, I'm an older millennial, I'm gonna be 41 soon. And I take it for granted that I kind of grew up with technology, right? When I became a teenager is when personal computers started getting popular and all of that. But I remember using computers since I was in the first grade, so I don't know, it's different. I understand that it's different when you've been exposed to technology all your life, but at the same time, it's like, my God, why can't they take the time to learn how to use a thing that they bought that costs like $900, $1,000? These are expensive devices that they have, and they brag about not knowing how to use them, and that blows my fucking mind. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. This was kind of a stream of consciousness show. I don't know if I consider it a variety show, but I don't know. That's it for me, guys. Y'all take it easy.